not getting anywhere. I'm trying to find a list that I haven't. Also, so we'll be talking about the Campbell situation. Again, we now just seen those videos. We just seen where Rose gave an update. A lot of comments from people. We read her comments. We'll talk about like our life, whether we would put all that out or not, whether how real we would keep it. There's a lot to actually discuss on etiquette, on YouTube etiquette, on how far, because as I was talking to George, we've been through bad fights. We told you guys have seen them on air. You guys have seen, and we're not like hiding that part. Okay, it's one thing to sit here and bicker, and we've seen David and Rose bicker on air. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen where they've been in their car and different things. People have seen this, but it's another to put him in his most delicate state or talk about his delicate states, and then put the full war of roses on air. Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. It actually almost. Wow. Okay. Was that no pun intended?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like literally it's unfolding. And so we'll make a statement on that. Also recently, we've seen a few things going on. One, we've seen an interview recently go passing through where the guy lives in our area. He lives within Pampanga that says he's living on $600 a month. So I'm not sure that that's even possible, especially being he travels and does other things. But we'll discuss his budget. Can you really live on $600 a month?
There's a lot of interesting things going on, and it's not just one channel. Again, like there's an exodus of kind of let's be honest. There's a lot of like I guess expat couple breakups lately.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know what external factors are. I mean, whether you admit it or not, the external factors do contribute to some breakups. Okay.
We have we watch Smoothly. We always have. I love his caretaking. I love what he's done for David. We've had contact with David, as you guys know. No time recently. I did try to reach out. I don't know, was that 2-3 weeks ago? I can try to see a date.
The last time we talked about him.
That we tried to reach out to him. I can see where the message was read, but no response. Of course, he's not going to respond. But I know that Smoothly, I've seen his last. Now, I don't know if he put out a video in the last day or so. I didn't see that one. I seen where he responded to what was said. And I would have to agree with what he actually said. It shouldn't have been put out there, is my personal opinion, because I want to say real quick that I've been in a very delicate state, and so has George. And we're not talking about George eating a dozen glazed donuts and downing a bottle of Red Horse and passed out on the front porch situation. We're talking, would you like a dozen donuts? But these situations and the worst of times should not actually be put out. Again, I know you guys have seen us bickering, and a lot of it becomes debates and everything else. You guys have even seen me explode on air, but sorry, delicate stuff is not put on there, like how you're cleaning your husband's bum or how you're doing this. And she put all of the nature out there. And we've heard David say a lot of stuff too. I think there's been jealousy with this couple. We think there's been where there has been screaming matches, possibly, allegedly, whatever. We don't know. And there's like you would say, there's three sides to the story. So we do invite, if Smoothly is listening, we would be more than glad to send him a link if he wants to, update or come
Rose
in.
and David, of course, are
more than welcome.
More than
That
welcome
is
too.
that is absolutely. You're one of those that have been watching most and all of their videos and seen it all unfold, and it really is. The situation is kind of, it was just 2 months ago that I'm going to make this statement real quick. It was just about a month or two ago. I without the dates in my head, just recently she put out that video where she told all of David's business. You guys remember when she sat down and just said everything and went through a list? She said that she had her family. She said that she doesn't need David, that she's got everything. She had everything. And now in the most recent video, she's saying, I think I can get by another month. And he, I'm cut off from his debit card. And she was kind of going through all this financial stuff. And I'm like, well, didn't she just say she was fine? Didn't she say she had her family? So she's kind of now officially putting his financial out there again. And I want to make a statement right now. And there is no side that we choose right now. And we're not allowed to go into full details. But what I want to say is that our hearts go out to the families of the Filipinos that have passed away due to a situation going on in another part of the world. We're not really allowed to talk about, how do we say that? Conflict. We can't say the other word. There's conflicts going on in other countries They're trying to repatriate. Last in the news a few hours ago, 92 are being brought home of 100, and I think they said 103. So that's a good number that they've actually found. I'm absolutely devastated what's going on in that situation. And this is one time I'll say we don't stand on either side except for the Filipinos making it home. It's really bad. But one of the gentlemen that something happened to, his family is here in Pampanga. So our hearts go out. The president has reached out to these families, and it was absolutely devastating to see the family.
Yeah.
He had a baby, and well, he's about ready to have a baby, and he just got married. So it's very sad. And the other woman that stood by, the woman that was that she was nursing, she stood by her side. She was also about ready to get married, and they're young. And so our hearts go out, and for the safety of people, around the world in the U.S. So I wanted to say that real quick before, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, for getting.
Now, just so you know what Heidi's talking about, it just doesn't affect Filipinos. It affects all different races who are currently in that country of conflict. Okay.
Right.
Technically, we're really not supposed to say anything about it, nor take sides for obvious reasons. And again, I apologize to you guys if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, but it's relevant. It's all over the news right now.
Yeah.
And we'll just leave it at that. But again, it's not just Filipinos that are affected.
It's people's lives.
And yeah, a lot of immigrants are in that current country of conflict. That's the world spotlight's on them right now. And if you don't know what we're talking about, then I don't know what to tell you.
Where I stand, and I think George agrees, that people are people, they're humans, and that's
right. And I implore everybody, again, I'm not taking sides here because humanity has no sides. And what I mean by that is be aware that don't believe everything you hear in the media,
right,
social media or news.
Right.
There's something called propaganda. Now, I'm not supporting neither
side.
nor, except
The human
for
race.
love the humor.
Oh snap!
TS, that's wild. What's up?
I'd get around to it. I'll be reading some comments of viewers on multiple channels, but Smooth Lee pinned a comment.
Uh-oh.
And I will. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, it's probably best to read. It's only it's less than a 4-minute video. Les came out 2 hours ago, guys. We've been busy, and I've been in a semi-coma. Smoothly made a statement that he penned. You must ask yourself why anyone would lie to their viewers. Sympathy, wanting everyone to feel bad for her. Always claiming I have no money and don't know what to do about not having any money. Get the money from the viewers and then cry. I don't want to take the money because people say I'm scamming them, but then in the next video stating my husband's left me with no money. Hinting, please send more money. And let me finish the rest of this. Not telling the truth about knowing the whereabouts of her husband only questions more. Smooth Lee has access to David, as I'm to understand. He was the one that helped him in the hospital. That was his statement just pinned. These are the thoughts that have been stated from people that have been emailing us, where we've been reading comments. And funny that we're not seeing those comments on her channel. They probably have even been removed. I'm sure she's watching them. But I had the same thoughts. Again, this is not against Rose. This isn't against David. As a matter of fact, I said earlier that I was kind of more pro David because of his health conditions, and I'm disabled, not as disabled as David. But Rose, it's kind of like a double thing here. Rose knew what she was getting into when she married David. He was fully disabled when they actually met. The chances of her going to the U.S. are slim to none. People have made statements, why don't you go? Why don't you go? Well, it does require David to do this, or to do so, to sign off on this stuff. It's not easy for Filipinos to get into the country and all that. But either way, to respond to this, most of you guys remember that Rose, just like I said, I can look up the date, but in that video where she broke down and told all of his business about his finances and him overeating and all the grocery money and how she buys her own groceries, how she doesn't need him, and she's got her family, she can get by. She was just saying that, was she not, in that one video? And now her last few videos, I will have to agree that it does. I was telling George this morning that if most things are paid, as she was claiming, her YouTube money and the donation she's getting coming in should be more than enough to pay her bills, being she eats lightly, like she said. If she's just eating rice and veggies and has that garden outside and does everything she said, then yeah, maybe things are really actually cheap for her. But I know if we make a few hundred a month and their views are way higher than ours, and she has contributors, as we can see, and that she talks about, she should be able to make a few hundred US dollars a month. So she's not totally broke, but she doesn't talk about how she gets a YouTube check. I don't think that's going into David's bank at this point. We don't know.
Well, I don't think so.
I think it's in her.
And
We don't know, but
okay, on the food and costs and everything, just real quick. Even though you've heard on the news that rice is on the rise, first off, any good rice was not subject to the rice cap when it existed. Okay. Second, even with the high prices of rice, it's still on average the good stuff, the stuff that you will eat. It's a kilo. Okay. So even though like, oh, rice is expensive, it is,
right,
but it's not.
right. And her family, as I'm to understand, and I've seen videos, they've been planting rice. She said they had a rice field.
Right, right.
She
And
was planting rice, so there has to be rice for the family.
well, and like I said, even worst case scenario, it's still again $1 a kilo. I mean, of course, she's not an expat, but her husband is. They are still married. And what I'm getting at is it won't affect you guys.
No, see, that's why I like people who keep it real. And Smoothly keeps it real. Sunshine Shoulders keeps it real. There's a lot of these vloggers that'll put out the information, and because they do, sometimes they get more views, sometimes they get less views, but they don't sway with the wind. They don't sway. We talked about how it seems like some social media or news outlets or big news outlets actually sway with the wind. All I'm saying is people repeatedly, well said, brother. Thank you for your honesty. Thanks for an update. Oh, hey, what's up,
Hey,
Space?
Calvin. How you doing, Calvin?
Hey, what's poppin', Sunshine? What's up, Calvin? We will be going to the meet and greet, or I'll be sending my representative, White Boy George, here to the actual meet and greet.
As prayers to you, to your health, Heidi. George 214 says, looking beautiful as ever, Miss Heidi.
Thank you.
Chosen one, my man. Shout out to Rose. Rose, I'm single. Just saying. You the man, chosen one. You the man.
All right, George, I'm going to put you on the spot. Hope you're still in the house, Sunshine. You're on a desert island. There's only 3 women there, and I'm about ready to put 3 of them out there. All right, put you on the spot.
Okay.
The Filipina Bee, Rose, and I don't know, Sharon Lapu Lapu. Who do you go off with?
Wait.
And Rebeauty. We'll put
You're
4 out
asking
there.
Calvin, right?
No, I'm asking you.
Then what? Your question to
Well, him too. I'm just saying he's listening. Who do you choose, babe? He's like, it's a trap.
my exact words exactly. Oh yeah, happy Friday the 13th, guys.
Yeah, it's still Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday the 13th. Jason Voorhees, my man.
Da-da-da-da.
Go, Jason.
Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da.
It's not Halloween.
Da-da-da-da.
It's not Halloween. It's Jason Voorhees. It's Friday the 13th.
Huh. Okay.
Anyway.
Break out more Red Horse.
Have you ever tasted Red Horse?
No. And I don't ever intend to.
Carl Butts, Heidi, you don't think Rose should tell the truth? Now, there's somewhat a fine line that you have to tread.
And yeah, there is. I do, and I think she has the right because I listened to her. But what it is I think people hear what they want to hear, say, what they want people to hear. And I think when she said the reason she put him on when people questioned her and the other vlogger called her out, she said it's because people wanted an update. Yeah, but you don't put him looking at his worst up there. And like I said, that would be like you guys saying when I've thrown up in bed because of medication, or that it'd almost be the same thing if George turned on a camera and showed you guys, or I showed him when, like in Mexico, when his leg he was in a partial cast because his leg was messed up and he was down and could barely move. And he was really bad. He was in bad shape. He was in pain. I wouldn't want to put all that on camera either.
Yeah, now.
Or to put out every single thing about, I know it's funny and rich coming from us when you guys know we fight, but we don't put out our total finances and say, okay, I'm broke, blah, 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 nothing in the bank. Heidi eats too much sugar and starts talking about different things. And it's how she's using the channel. When somebody said she used to do the exercise videos, she used to show little fashion shows, she used to show some of her gardening and cooking. Now all of a sudden it's not all of a sudden, she's been putting David's stuff up for about for months, months and months now in regards to what's going on. But I think she should, but I don't think
Right.
it was just she could have gave an update without mentioning the mental facilities, or she's just going and she's just all over the place.
Now, what I'm about to tell you again, nobody is asking for anybody to lie or anything like that. Um, I'm not talking about parents nowadays. I'm talking about your parents, my parents, Heidi's parents. A
Mhm.
good rule of thumb is, what would your parents do? So, for instance, let's say, "Hey, John, how's your daughter?" Violet, for instance, again, random names. "Hey, John, how's your daughter, Violet?" As opposed to saying again, like, say, "Oh, Violet, oh my God, she's a troublemaker." Man, I tell you what, she just, like, basically, like, went in Target and did these running sprees and grabbed a bunch of clothes and ran out, and she got incarcerated. Yeah, 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 yeah. Versus, well,
It's like another episode of Shameless.
Violet, she's a handful. She's been, she's going through some rough time. She went into a little bit of trouble.
That would be the best
The end.
way.
See, there's a difference between lying and dude.
She could have updated people, and there was even comments why she even did it in front of the kitchen sink like that. It was kind of all of it was just odd.
Right. Again, what I'm saying is same thing with you guys. I mean, odds are your parents, like you, if let's say you had a fight at school, well, that's not serious. But if you did something serious, like for instance, like, shoplifted from candy from the mall, she's probably not going to mention that. Your mom, she's probably like, yeah, he ran into a little bit of trouble in the mall. You know how kids are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and she actually said there was a lot more that she could say. Well, sure. Is there a lot more we could say about, our personal life? Like, I mean, I'll give you an example. Okay, we haven't had any love time for 4 or 5 days, or,
Hasn't been
or
that long.
so what I'm saying is there could be more depth.
I guess
Okay.
as an example.
Okay. Well, we used to knock boots like 3 or 4 times a day, and it's not exactly like that right now.
Well, that's with most couples that they go
No,
through.
I got that.
They go
So
through
what I'm
lulls.
saying is there more for couples? Of course. Do we, there's a lot, guys. There's a lot more that can go on, and I'm sure she's got some deep secrets. I mean, I'm sure she could go into stuff. I'm sure David could. It's a he said, she said, but it's there is no reading in between the lines of the stuff that she's actually putting out, because it looks very clearly, allegedly, possibly, that this is about money at this point. The numbers, the views, even David. There was one point where I seen David looking up like that, and I told George, I said, I think she's in the room when he says he's not allowed to say something. And I don't know if Smooth Lee's listening. There was a point where I seen him go like this, and he says, well, I'm not supposed to say that, or I'm not allowed to say that. And I said, what's going on? And so, like, a lot of people have been making comments, and maybe I'm going to say too much today, that something is really broken, something's really missing. And honestly, I don't know, there's just a lot going on. And he said that they're doing it for the views. We've even been asked when we're bickering back and forth, are you guys really just doing this for the views? No, I'm actually really PO'd at George. That's We get into confrontations on air. That's the real thing. But David and Rose show has actually said that it's been for the views situation, allegedly. And some people have made comments, but I don't know. All I know is I feel for David, and she, I don't know what's really going on. It's crazy, guys. That's all I know, is that it all shouldn't be put out there. And then someone's gonna say, okay, well, you guys are covering. Well, yeah, we're actually going to cover it, because it's a lesson to be learned. One, if you're that medically disabled, and then you move out far away from medical facilities, and your caretaker and wife are the same, and you can't get proper care and help and all that, it really can be rough. There's a major lesson to learn from this. And there's a lot of obstacles here. We've talked to and heard about a lot of expats where they get abandoned by girlfriends, where their lives can be good with their girlfriends. But today is going to be about a real lesson on that. It's not really, I don't even know how that other guy's even going to get home. So we were discussing that before the live started. But real quick, guy, home wrecker at the bottom said you can't blame Rose. She's trying to survive. But according to Rose, she could. There's a difference in, I believe Rose is a nice person. I believe she's an excellent wife, caretaker, and all of that. But her character is now on the line from how she's showing her husband in a different light. She's showing how she's in a different light. and how she said she could get by without him. And I feel that I think there's a lot more actually going on. So I don't blame her for trying to survive. Everybody has. We've all been in tight spots, but George would not put me out in that light, and vice versa. As far as that's a lot of, I mean, that was just very bad light, regardless.
Chosen One says they're making Smoothly look stupid. They're pulling a rope-a-dope on him.
The rope-a-dope. Huh?
It means they're putting him in a corner.
Yeah.
GK, Smoothly exposing the truth, like it or not, Chosen One. Well, no, actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's on my. Yeah, he said he told Smooth Lee to leave it alone. I mean, there's going to be a limit, but as I'm to understand, Smooth Lee has been there with him at the hospital and trying to help with different things when David doesn't. We have read comments and received comments and emails where David's family members are coming forward and saying he had a checkered past and that, he doesn't have a lot of people to help him. So it sounds like Smooth Lee has stepped forward, but we don't, nobody knows all sides. It could just be everything being pushed up to the light. What is quite evident and the most important evident is that David needs help. When he was there on that camera, you could see that he was in bad shape. Probably mentally broke down, physically broke down. Remember, he's a diabetic. He needs medication. We don't know, regardless of how he eats or doesn't eat, he needs medicine. He needs food to go with that. It can't be a quick bag of chips and a bunch of sugary items because there's just a lot going on. The man was in bad shape, and that's where I'm kind of siding is that Rose's family. Rose is okay. She's still got a check coming in from YouTube allegedly. We could see that the numbers are there. We know they finally got monetized. We know. I mean, what she's not mentioning is she mentioned all that, but she didn't say, "But I'll be okay because the YouTube's coming in, or my PayPal's coming in." Or why not all of that being she's exposing everything else.
Right.
So that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this comment, respond to, and then I think we should go into this topic at hand.
Okay.
Geechee Lion says, "Have you tried Smirnoff's Mule, George? Only 6% out." Okay, first off, Smirnoff's Mule is actually really good. Heidi actually used to make me real mules in the U.S. She even got these copper mugs because that's the proper way to drink mule. Now, I don't drink beer because honestly, sorry guys, it's too weak. Now, just real quick, the reason why I was gonna entertain this.
Like Liquor Love Life.
Anyway, unlike most Filipinos, and I'm gonna tell you this right now, I've gone out and drank with Filipinos, okay, and I hate to say this, but most Filipinos are lightweights. I haven't met a Filipino I couldn't outdrink, and I'm not a drinker. Put it that way. I'm like, really, dude? We just started. But anyway, David Campbell had medical conditions, and he was going back to America to, I guess, take care of his medical needs. Okay, so he went over
Second time.
Right, then went to Las Vegas, and then I believe he attempted to come back home. And I say attempted because when he was in, I believe, the LA airport, he was in Vegas a while, and then he was in LA airport, and then that's when the latest update about David happened. And what happened was, for those of you who haven't been following the story, is the red flags went out when the video started, because I'm like, wait, it's not about the subject at hand. It's like, why am I watching this? Not because I clicked on it. It's because, one, it's recorded. By default, video chats are not recorded. Okay. So what I'm getting at is like, wait a minute. Why is this conversation, which is technically a private conversation, being recorded? That was the first red flag. And again, that nobody ever spoke yet. But I even said to Heidi, like, wait, whoa. Why is this being recorded? Okay. So next is what I analyzed would be who recorded it. Not, again, I'm not taking sides. However, it's obvious David was not the one who did the recording, because he didn't look like he was in a condition to. Be aware that, again, he has medical conditions. He had officers assisting him, keyword assisting him, because he was not, it looked like he was on some medication, which I'm not saying he's,
we're not sure.
Yeah.
He didn't look right to me.
Right.
He either looked heavily medicated,
Correct.
He had been drinking on something. He didn't look right that
Right.
day. That's the worst shape that I've seen him.
Right. So correct. So one, again, I don't think he recorded it. And then the third one that, again, that proves to me, my opinion, is he didn't do the recording because he's not the one who posted the video. Now, again, those 3 red flags went up. I was like, right away, without even knowing the story. I'm like, wait, this shouldn't even be on here. Now, again, David Campbell was probably in a shape that you don't want anybody to see if you love the guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or even care as a friend. I mean, we were talking about relationships and how bad they can get, you know, whether somebody still remains friends, whether somebody, and then we start talking about it looked like he got raffinaed, man.
right.
Which means, George, what does that mean? The
Oh,
raffina?
I don't know. Babe.
Scorched earth. It looks like scorched earth is coming.
So that's what happened is the video got posted. And again, I was against this because, again, I don't.
Got raffinaed.
And some of you say, well, she's just doing an update. Well, let's put it this way. If you were David, would you want that to happen to you? Would you want your partner to do that to you? You're obviously not in the right state, whether it's medical, health, mental, it doesn't matter what state it is. Point is, you're not well. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good look for both parties. And
that's a weird statement. Matt T came through and said he's dying and she's the victim still.
okay, okay. Thank you. And I say thank you because you're proving my point. So the statement was, where is it at?
Which one? From Smoothly?
Oh, no. The one that, read it again. Read what you just read.
Oh, you're talking about from
He's dying, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Matt T said that he's dying and she's the victim.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a victim mentality.
Right, exactly.
Constantly. It's about her constantly.
Right. What I'm saying is, let's say my grandfather, okay, he's already passed. Both.
Real quick, I'm going to address Mr. Fluffy, and I don't, you know, we like you and everything, but Mr. Fluffy's making comments in here. Real quick, David is playing a game. The people at the Vegas airport tried to help him, said he seemed okay. David himself said he could act okay and that he will be back. His daughter said in a reply to me, he's always been that way. Nobody owes him any sympathy, and the medical poor David won't work anymore. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Fluffy.
Oh, I see.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if he's actually referring that David's okay and that, you know, I've heard both sides from Mr. Fluffy where he said that really that Rose needs to back off on always using David, move on with their other vlogging. Sounds like Mr. Fluffy's on both sides, and some people actually are. But that actually sounded like David is. If David was okay, they would have let him on that airplane. He really wanted to come home.
Yeah. Well, somebody's saying. I mean, think of it this way. I got into a car wreck, a head-on collision with a truck, and I literally crawled out of the vehicle. And somebody asked me, "Are you okay?" Like, if I said I'm okay, would that make it that I'm okay? It doesn't mean that somebody feels okay. Doesn't mean they are okay.
Right. So they're medically not clearing him. And also weirdly, Rose made a statement, this is still in my head, where she said that she thought that being as he was in the hospital, that he won't be spending any money and that he'd be okay in the hospital, but he couldn't live there forever either. Or evidently they let him out and he went off and spent money and did things. And it's just, there's a lot still going on. But we hear you, Mr. Fluffy, on that. And I seen where on their channel his daughter responded. So I don't know if there's something additional that she had said to you.
Well, it's a fair point, and it goes back again. A lot of things goes back on each other. And for instance, like Matt says that David is dying. Not my words, okay? Then she's still the victim. You know,
he said nobody owes him any sympathy anymore. And unfortunately, I don't know if that's okay. He at least deserves some respect. If he doesn't give her anything anymore or any of that, which doesn't make it right, but you can't use vinegar at this point. And it's like she's spewing vinegar, not honey at this point. And so if David really is having all this mental issues and medical issues, and people get cranky, I get double cranky when I don't feel good. And so it just seems like she's not going to.
Well, and again, remember, I'm not taking sides here because, again, I'm more for what's the humanitarian side. And what I mean by that is, for instance, again, is it really necessary to quote unquote label he's in the mental hospital? No, just say he's getting the medical help he needs. It's not lying, but to me, it's off taste. It's off taste. It's in bad form.
Yeah, there's one thing where you hear the other vloggers that are omitting everything. Like, okay, I live on 1,500 or 2,000 a month, and then they omit that they're making extra money on top of that, and that they're spending all that money to survive here, and omitting some things. They're not telling you anything about their life. They're not getting into the nitty gritty. They're just doing the basics. It's another to give like details. I get, like I said, there's probably more things that she could actually say. Like, he sits up and smokes in bed, and maybe he's not bathing for days at a time. I'm just making stuff up right now. Or that, maybe his undies don't get changed, or maybe this happens, or he just sits around and eats cupcakes. What was that?
Okay.
Ends up eating cupcakes all day, and that he, eats cupcakes and smokes cigarettes and drinks all day. All of this, what I'm saying is I'm sure there are more details. It could get probably a lot more graphic. And because she said there was more, but she's not going to say. But what has been said is actually not good. It's not a good light for him or for her. What is going on is that I know that I'm sure what is in the Philippines is both hers and his. I'm not sure who owns what was bought by who, what was paid by who. We've heard stories that it's mostly paid by David. Let's say all of his money is invested there and he's the monthly person getting paid and everything. He's probably sitting in the US with nothing. So he probably really does want to get home where he's been used to living for years. I think she said it's been 8 or 9 years. So I get that he wants to come home. I mean, I wouldn't want to be away from George. And it's a good chance that if I have to have an open heart surgery or something and I have to go back to the US, more than likely I'm going back by myself. And I would want to get back here as soon as possible. But I don't think George is going to come on and say, wow, Heidi's put on 40 or 50 pounds and she's stinky and she's fighting the nurses and throwing things in their hair and pulling their hair. And you just wouldn't want to go into any details that are.
Some people do that, just so you know.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So there's a lot going on. I'm more concerned that he's just possibly trying to find some sort of peace or something. And I feel that Rose does love her husband. I believe that she does, but at this rate, they're both just gonna keep pushing each other apart.
Yeah, that's also another problem I have. Again, mind you, I'm very in touch with my emotions, but I usually try to steer my ship on an even keel. And what I'm getting at is David is in touch with his emotions, which means he's not. I guess it would be the typical man kind of deal. Men won't admit they're in touch with their emotions, but most of them don't have control of it. But here's the thing: the fact that he has emotions tells me both partners still love each other. It's
Yep.
not a question. There is love between the two.
I told George, I said sometimes it's like me and George got that Ike and Tina love, and I believe it's no. Well, what's that got to do? Got to do with it? Got to do with
Okay.
it? No,
So-
I mean that in a good way. A lot of people don't realize that sometimes there's so much passion that the actual arguments
pasión.
is really, really heavy duty.
The fire.
And I still think there is fire, but understand the more that'll go back and forth is really bad. And where I'm feeling in a lesson to be learned is that a lot of guys are coming here with medical conditions. They're coming here with no plans. I just heard another couple that was under 40 years old. They came here. They had less than 10,000 in their bank account, and it's already been spent in the last year. And they're not even living here on. Yeah, they spent all 10 grand of that money. I don't know, traveling maybe. They do travel to a lot of that's what they do. They call themselves. They work online and and so there's a lesson to be learned that if you don't have the money for the medical, if you don't have the proper insurance, insurance isn't cheap, guys, and a lot of it is only they call it catastrophic. Basically, after a certain age, if you have any medical conditions, they won't cover you guys, and it's going to be hundreds of dollars a month. It could be between $600 and $700, and so all of this can get expensive. And David apparently does not have anything. I would assume that he doesn't have the savings at this point, or he would be getting local treatment.
He's been flying back and forth. That'll deplete you fast.
Well, he had to wait for his check. He already said that on air.
Mhm,
He already said
yeah.
on air he had to wait. So he obviously didn't use the savings to go. So, but whatever was there is depleted. All bridges, that always sounds like that's in the house, is depleted, and all bridges are burned with family members there. And it's a big lesson to be learned for people for sure.
Now, also, the problem I have with both videos, and I say both because they go hand in hand to each other. In the latest video, we have Rose stating in the very end, she says that I'm gonna paraphrase her because just to make it short and quick. she's basically saying, well, Dave, it looks like this is what you want. I guess you want me to move on, and I guess that's what I'm going to do. Again, I'm paraphrasing. So that's what Rose said in the latest video. And now you're like, okay, what's the problem with that? My problem is the man can barely walk. The man obviously was deemed by authorities that he shouldn't be traveling alone. Okay. They even says, is there anybody who can like pick up, Mr. Campbell over here? Okay. Yet he's at the airport, want to fly back home. Does that sound like a guy who wants to move on? Does that sound like a guy who wants his wife to move on? And that's the problem I have with both videos. It's not because again, I'm not attacking anybody. Now, David and Rose, if you're listening to me, both of you still love each other, and it shows. So get rid of whatever baggage you have against each other. Again, I get it. Relationships are tough. Making them last long is tougher. Again, it's like dating. Dating is easy. Picking up men or women is easy. Problem is keeping them as partners. That's the real job. Work is at. That's when you have your work cut out for you. And the problem we have in the society today, and the problem you have that a lot of expats come to the Philippines is they're looking for a docile Filipino or Filipina. You're not looking for a slave. You're looking for a partner. You know what I'm saying? If your partner doesn't give you beef at all, there's a problem. Okay? And I'm just being honest here. Okay? And some of you will agree. Half of you will agree. Half of you won't. Because again, it's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And everybody, again, feel free. Go ahead. Roast me if you will. But that is my opinion. And again, David and Rose, I am not attacking you. I'm just letting you guys know. Both of you still love each other, and it shows. Don't let it go to waste. Okay. Let me read down here. Oh, Neil says, Black Grandpa, I have my own house with my fiance, and still $600 is not possible. Electricity is not cheap. I have one aircon, and it's 10K pesos or higher. He's not. Yeah, that's about the average cost on AC, and that's not running 24/7. Ooh, what's this?
Orange.
Oh, orange. This is actually, yeah, this is Tropicana orange. No, this is Liberty. It's actually like a tea shop place, but they have these really nifty mason jar glasses.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
the Tang stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, no. And again, I guess. Do you have anything to add to the David and Rose thing before we move on to the $600 budget?
Like I said, I read what Smoothly had pinned the statement. He would know for sure. The family would know. Other people.
Oh, it's really tangy.
The well, that's the actual. Sorry, I said it was Tang, but it's a Tropicana, so it tastes different.
Yeah.
It's the Tropicana, not the Tang. So, I don't know. I just wish they would that would be like every one of our vlogs being all about what goes down between us or only my medical conditions. That does wear old. We wish the success for Rose on her channel, but eventually it'll be like beating a dead horse, whether they feel David's right, whether they feel Rose is right. And I'm going to tell you right now from experience in the Philippines and being here for a couple of years, they're going to side with Rose all day long. And they're doing that because it's called Symphonies. That's hence why I made that Symphonies t-shirt, guys, because guys are definitely going to feel for her more than they are for David. I feel for David and I feel for Rose because I'm married to a Filipino and I see the suffering of the people every day at hand. And I feel for David because there's also expats here that get stranded here. Their checks run out. They don't have any more savings. They don't have medical. There's no way to live permanently in the U.S. once you've sold everything and you come here and you make that decision. And especially at a certain age, as far as going back and getting a job and all that. And with David being disabled, the only thing he can do is go into a home. And I was going to go through some comments, but I really don't think, I mean, everybody's been through David and Rose's comments and they seem to be, pretty much the same thing. It all seems to be a lot of sympathy, for her or, do something else with your vlog. They're kind, you could see where it's just wearing thin on them as far as it all being about that situation and not what it used to be. You know, him talking a little bit about living there, her talking about her gardening and cooking, and them together, and them as a couple, because that's what people wanted to see. And then it just turned to a scorched earth situation, and like I said, just went kind of back and forth. You know, when I seen the rest of her video today, and again I heard her saying that the money's running out and I'll be all right for another month and all that. I was like, she just said she was okay to people. She just said that everything was going to be okay, and it looks like reality is setting in. She did a family video saying, "Oh, come back, Uncle David. We miss you, Uncle David." And they did all of that, and I don't know. I just really wish them the best, the both of them. And honestly, in my personal opinion, I don't think he's coming back. I don't think he's medically has the ability to fly, and they're definitely not going to give her an emergency visa to go get him.
Well, that, and again, until he gets well, and or have somebody escort him from the U.S. to the Philippines, he's pretty much stuck there. And I mean, it's not, again, you know, I hope, David, I hope and pray that you get better. Really, I do. And again, maybe one day you'll come home, maybe next month. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Fluffy further down said, at this point, Rose is on a roller coaster, waiting to see which way David decides to roll her over. Well, that's a good statement. She might as well use YouTube. She is stuck in a situation, is up to David. Yes and no. I mean, you still wouldn't put those things on there. I get the drama and bringing things out. Like I told George, you know, we don't hide that there is drama in our life. Okay. But I don't know. It's a, and then he said, place your bets now. I'm putting my money on David landing in the Philippines. Well, that's, yeah. So not sure on that.
Yeah, just real quick. Hey Mark, how you doing?
Yeah,
Mark Goldberg's here. Says, I agree with Heidi. He's not coming back. He's not
anytime
well.
soon.
He's not going to be well. She will wind up poor again, and all around. Oh dang.
Well, there are things that she could still possibly do. One, if the car is paid for, I would definitely consider doing something with the vehicle if it's in her name or has the ability to. I mean, there's a few things she can start to do. Down to, if that house costs, she said she could live with her family and be with her family. That's another actual option. Does she really want to? Who actually knows, you know, where she is? She has her son's college, but I would redirect my YouTube channel at this point. I wouldn't. I would. I don't know. I think she's at that point, you know, where the same thing about David all the time and their stuff back and forth, and that she's basing it on updating people and all that. I would be doing stuff in between. All of her videos have been about David. You know, she's not doing a whole bunch in between her videos. I would start that to get her YouTube channel going. I'd be out. She's, you know, I'd be in the market showing things and family and the rice fields. And there's a lot she can actually do. She's still vibrant, young. I would be using all of her abilities at this point for sure. And
Yeah.
Night 12 said, I side with Rose 100%. And that's understandable. There, like I said, there's Camp Rose and Camp David, and there are some that root for them both. And me and George 100% root for the both of them. It's just a warning, and it's a warning to expats, is what this is also really about, is that coming here with no medical, no insurance, no extra money, and an unstable marriage is just not a good ideal. It's, you know, the ideal of all of it working out, and you 100% cannot rely on your spouse to be your only caregiver, when she said, and quote unquote, she said that they were fighting like right after they got married. Remember, she said there were problems before they got married, there were problems after they got married. So there was already stuff going on before they even got married. She said that a while back.
Right.
That came from her mouth, that there's been problems since they've been married. And so the fact they've been together for, you know, many years now, and things are getting worse. They attempted a caretaker. They've attempted to have her family take care of them. I get it. I'm cantankerous all the time. Me and there are many days that I don't feel good, and it's not easy being a caretaker with somebody, or being with somebody that's sick. It's hard to have. Oh, it's hard to actually see somebody sick too. It's not easy on either side. I don't like to see when George is sick. He doesn't like to see when I'm sick. Then there's the pressure of everything else. David used to be able to do a lot of things. I'm kind of in that same boat, is that I miss being able to do all of that. And I was very independent. And something tells me David used to be an independent person. And now he's having to rely on a bunch of people. That'll bring in more issues. It doesn't make it right to call names. Something tells me, the way we've seen them go on air, they probably are calling each other names, possibly. It's, anything is possible. So
The Papa Smurf of the OG. Some things just need to be kept private. W says, I wouldn't watch the channel. It's depressing. Who wants to see someone struggling, laying in bed, trying to sit up? Oh, W.
That is for some people.
Thirsty,
okay?
desperate expats will be throwing money at Rose to get a piece of her.
And that's okay. I mean, it's okay. And I get using all of that and the guys that want to help, like I said, the Rafina syndrome or how that actually goes on. And that's fine. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, well, you just hating Heidi because you're a big fluffy white woman over there and blah, blah. You just hating because no, not really. I now see that Rose and her son are going to be in a bad way. And it does hurt my heart. And I have cried over this situation. And I've cried over David because the last few months have been really rough for me medically. And so there's a big lesson to be learned. And, you know, God bless anybody that helps either of them. And it takes a big heart to care and watch. But sadly, and all of you are just kidding yourselves if you're not watching it for the drama or watching us today. This isn't our normal room. And it's because they want to see what everybody's going to talk about there. That was a sad deal. That is really, really.
Say my name until the city burns and the stars fade away and your scars don't hurt. Stay with me until the last man falls. I don't need them anyway. When I'm with you, I have it all. Oh, I'll never let you slip away. Oh, and you don't have to be afraid. I will hold you till the sun comes crashing down. I'm yours until the end of time.